There is a bill, right, that Schumer and Warren have introduced or plan to introduce to relieve $50,000 debt per person. But you listen to someone like Elizabeth and you're like, you didn't even borrow $50,000. You borrowed $40,000 and you owe $80,000 5 years out. That's just, it's.
Yeah, and then college for all, the proposal that Bernie Sanders put forward, and it's off the top of my head, but it was just such a small amount of money. I think it's like $72 billion. I could be wrong. Matt or Brendan, if you don't mind looking that up just to fact check me. But it's a common sense problem, and I think a huge part of the issue is one that, like, obviously banks get enriched by a lot of these student loans. The federal government gets enriched by this. And then also just that members of Congress and people in power are removed from this being a reality. They're just not, they don't deal with it as wealthy people.
I think there's also I don't want to say non-rational one, although I would say that all of these arguments are non-rational, but it's two-part. I think there is a concern that there's a puritanical, I think, sort of value system about, the moral hazard that we're creating if we let people think that they can get away with without repaying their debts. I mean, at least in the narrow context of universities, you wouldn't have the need for this type of debt if you added a college for all type of situation. But the other is that, like, look, we see debt discharged all the time for corporations, for individuals in the context of bankruptcy court. Our society has a long, endless, predates the Americans' project of debt relief. And the idea that it is a moral hazard only when it applies to people not wealthy enough to pay for college is
ludicrous.
It's ludicrous. It's perverse.
$48 Brendan just sent per year to eliminate tuition fees for four-year public colleges and universities. I think there's a higher end that's estimate that's $72 billion, but that's right. I mean, that's nothing for the federal government. That's nothing.
And Graber would point out that it's about control, right? I mean, I think that's exactly why. I mean, Nancy McLean ruffled so many feathers because she suggested that this was a response to, like, the Angela Davis and the 70s campus activism, that we need to have these kids start paying for this and, have to go into corporate jobs afterwards and that sort of thing. And I think that rings really true. And the more that we just don't do the obvious here, I think that's what it's about. It's about control.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think you can make the same argument about healthcare as well, right? I mean, there was a time 10, 15 years ago where you would hear nothing but every car that rolls off the line for GM, $3,200 of it is healthcare. Well, then why wouldn't you have an outcry from businesses to say, like, we're going to offload this expense onto the federal government? Yes, we'll pay marginally more in taxes, but we don't need to have we don't need to have an entire, we don't need to have a side business of, in human resources trying to figure out how we're going to do health insurance. And I think a big part of it is simply, it's a function of control. If you are in college and you're basically building this massive, I mean, I just can't even imagine 5 years out of college, having an $80,000 bill, and like, you're just looking around your apartment, and it's like, wait, where's the expensive painting that I bought? Where's the 75-foot television, Sam, that I bought for what?
It's the avocado toast that the millennials keep buying. That's why they're not buying homes. And I've had conversations with people, by the way, who say, like, I had to pay off my student loan debt. Why shouldn't everybody else? Like, there is a legitimate, old school kind of thinking in that way, which is beyond comprehension to me, but some people really feel that way.
I wonder if they would apply that same logic to, say, I don't know, the COVID vaccine. That because no one was protected by the COVID vaccine last year, and people passed away, that no one in the future should have COVID vaccine either. I mean,
people died of cancer.
Listen,
maybe you should die of cancer too.
The fact of the matter is,
improve things.
I imagine in specific instances it's not the case, but broadly speaking, as a society, we had this in the 50s, in the 60s, 40s, into the 70s. No cost, or extremely low cost, negligible cost, universities, and quality universities, and it is a benefit to society, broadly speaking. And in terms of fairness, obviously, it was unfair that that was available 30, 50 years ago, and it's not available today. So that stuff, I think people should understand when they hear those complaints. They are complaints that are either A, not terribly well thought out or researched or contextualized, or B, disingenuous. But as a society only, if you merely believe in the idea that our job is only to provide opportunity, people must understand as a society, which I think it doesn't go far enough, but I understand that people just feel that that should be the function. When you are making university or higher education in any form prohibitively expensive, you are curtailing the opportunity of millions upon millions of your fellow Americans. And Joe Biden can fix this in the amount of time it takes me to pour a cup of coffee. They know the language, they know he can do it, and he can do it. So check that out. We'll put a link to that in on the post today at majority.fm.